This conference will now be recorded.
Able to see my screen, guys? Everyone?
Yes.
Yes. So today we are going to discuss about, we are going to start OOPS concepts in Java. So very important one. OOPS concepts. So OOPS concepts in Java. First of all, what is OOPS? OOPS is nothing but object-oriented programming structure. So OOPS is nothing but object-oriented programming structure. So here, each and everything in Java is depending on object only, guys. So the parent of Java is object. So remember this point, ma. What is the parent of Java? So object is the parent of Java, and each and every topic is each and everything is under Java one. I mean, is under object only, ma. You can take inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, abstract list, constructor, method, variables, data types, whatever it may be. Everything should depend on object only. Should depend on object only. So that is the reason Java is the object-oriented programming language. In our previous classes also, so we have called everything using object, right? So if you want to call variables, instance variables, methods, final variables, methods, apart from static, so with static variables, static methods, so apart from static, so remaining everything we should call using object only, right? So everything in Java is depending on object only. So, and Java is an object oriented programming language. The parent of Java is object. The parent of Java is object. So in Java, so we have 6 types of concepts are there. So normally only 4 types, but here I'm including class and objects as well. Without class and object, so we can't create anything. So we can't create anything, right? So without class, can we create object? No. Without class and object, can we call any inheritance, encapsulation, polymorphism, such kind of thing? No. So without a class and object, we can't do anything. So we can't do anything. So here I'm adding the 6 types of OOPS concepts in Java. The first one is class. The first one is a class. And the second one is object. And the third one is a second, guys. Yeah. So class, objects, and the next one is inheritance. The next one is polymorphism, encapsulation, and abstraction. Encapsulation and abstraction. So these are the 6 concepts. So 6 concepts, 6 OOPS concepts are there in Java. So this is a definite interview question. So what are the different OOPS concepts are there in Java? So they'll ask question like this. What are the OOPS concepts are there, and elaborate OOPS concepts. At that time, so you should say all these 6 types, and you should elaborate a single line. So what is class? What is object? What is inheritance? So what is a polymorphism? So what is encapsulation and what is abstraction? So what is encapsulation and what is abstraction? So the first thing is a class. So what is a class? So in my opinion, class is a container. So class. So class is a container. Class is a physical entity. So class is a container. Class is a physical entity. Let me add that one. So class is a container, or it is a physical entity. It is a physical entity which is used to store variables which is used to store variables or constructor methods or normal methods or data types or whatever it may be. So you can store each and everything in a class. So you can store each and everything in a class. So that is the reason. So here I am saying class is a container. So it is a container. So it is used to store all the things inside it. So you can take home as a example of a classroom. So in a home, so we can store everything, right? We can store electronics, we can store roots, we can store whatever if we want, we can store in our home. So same like that, class is a container. So class is a container means you can't move the class, you can't move the physical entity from one place to another place, but it is used to store everything inside it, to store everything inside it. So even so, if you want, you can see here, see, in a class only, so we have defined everything, right? So in a class only we are creating the methods and we are calling the methods, so inside the class only, right? So outside the class we can't do anything, so we can't do anything. So class is a container, it's a physical entity or it's a container, so which is used to store all the variables, data types, methods, constructor methods. So whatever if you want, you can store each and everything in a class, you can store each and everything in a class. And the perfect example is home. You can add the example of home, it is a real-time example. And the next one is object. So and the next one is object. So what is an object? Object is exactly opposite to class. Object is exactly opposite to class. So object is a logical entity. So object is a logical entity, and you can take any real world, any real world thing is nothing but an object. Is nothing but a object. You can take anything, you can take yourself, you can take one pen, you can take your car, you can take whatever it may be. So whatever in the real world project is nothing but object. Any real world thing is nothing but an object, and this object has some state and behavior. So this object has some state and behavior, guys. That means, so you can take ourselves, you can take yourself or ourselves as an object. See, we have some states is nothing but our names, our color, our height. So these are nothing but states. Behavior is nothing but we can talk, we can walk, we can run, we can sing. So we can move from one place to another place, we can travel, so we can eat. So these are all our behavior, right? So you can take any real world thing is an object, any real world thing. So you can take car. So in the car you can move from one direction to another direction, right? You can traverse in forward direction, you can traverse in a backward direction, you can move from one place to another place. So you can take any real world thing is an object, guys. So class is a physical entity, you can't move from one place to another place. It is a container which is used to store everything inside it. But object is a logical entity, so you can move object from one place to another place. You can use the class objects from one class to another class. And tomorrow our class is inheritance, ma'am. So at the time, so I'll show you how to call a parent class or variables and methods to child class using object. So by using object, so you can extend the way, you can extend the methods from one class to another class, you can extend the variables from one class to another class, you can use the parent class objects, methods, constructor methods, everything to the child class, because so object has that functionality. So object, that is a nothing but it is a logical functionality, it is a logical thing. By using the object, you can call everything from another class, from one class to another class, from one class to another class. And the main point is, so we should create object in class only, we can't create object outside the class. And by using class name only, by using a class name only, we can create the object. By using a class name only, we can create the object. Without the class name, we can't create the object. Without a class name, we can't create the object. And the syntax of object is, we have already seen many times, right? So class name, class name, so object name equal to, so new keyword here you need to provide the class name along with the, so class name, so along with the open circle braces. So open circle braces. Syntax of object is a class name object name equal to new class name. So here, what is a class, guys? Class is a container which is stored all the objects, variables, methods, constructor methods, anything. And what is an object? So object is used to call anything in a class, to call anything in a class, because it is a logical entity. So here, guys, so we have created a static methods, static variables, we have created the final variables, so we have created the normal variables, right? So if you want to call the variables, or if you want to call the methods, can we call it directly, ma? No, right? We have created one object, and using that object only we are calling all the methods on the variables, right, guys? Are you able to see, ma? Are you able to see,
Yes.
guys? See here,
Yes.
by creating object only, with the help of object only, we have called the method. See, we have called the method. See, we have called these methods, and we have called these variables by creating object only. And object should be created within the class only, so we can't create object outside the class. We can't create the object outside the class, and using object you can call methods, variables, constructor methods as well. So constructor methods as well. So if you have any questions as of now, you can ask, guys. Priyanka, Niharika, Janardhan, Vijayalakshmi, any questions? No. Okay. So let me create one example and let me show you. So already we have seen anything many times, objects and classes, right? Let me show you, ma. See here, guys. Now I am going to create two variables. My variable name is character. So character value equal to p. So I'm going to create another variable, ma, boolean. So boolean value equal to false. Boolean value equal to false. And I'm going to create one method here, ma. So public void method one. So this is my method. So method one is my method, ma. So method one is my method. So here just I'm just printing. So I'm in method one. So I am in method one. So here just I have declared two variables. I have initialized two variables, not declared, no? So declaration means without, see here. So here I have declared the value to the respective variable, right? So this is nothing but the declaration. So initialization means, so you need to create like this without providing the value. So without providing the value, it is initialization. So declaration means declaring the value to the variable. It is nothing but declaration. Initialization means creating the variable. Creating a variable is nothing but initialization. So I have declared two variables, right? Declaration means I have added the value to the respected variable as well, and I have created one method. So can I call the variables and methods without creating object here, ma? Can I call directly like this? Are you able to see any character value here, ma? Any character value? No, right? Can I call the character variable? Character value variable like this, ma? Can I call like this without creating an object, Vijayalakshmi? Can I call method like this without creating an object?
No.
No, because see, it is throwing the compile time exception. See, cannot make a static reference to the non-static fields, because these are not these are the non-static methods. So these are the non-static variables, because here, so we haven't used a static keyword for any of the variable and method, right? So you can't call the non-static methods or variables directly to the static methods. So for this one, so we need to create objects. So for this one, we need to create an object, ma. So evo equal to, so new, So example of object and class. So here, see here, ma, class name. The class name is this one, and this is the object name, and I am using the new keyword, and later on I am using the class name again. Now with the help of the object, we are going to call the. So now with the help of object, we are going to call the character value variable and this method. And so if you want, you can call the boolean. So boolean as well, ma. So boolean value as well. So without creating object, you can't call the normal methods. Apart from static methods and static variables, you can't call anything. So you can't access anything without create an object. And remember this thing. If the method or if the variable is static, then you can call directly without creating an object to the main class. But so if the variable or object is not related to static, you can't call. So you should create an object, and with using an object only, you can call the respective variables and methods to the respective main class, to the respective main class. Are you able to see the output, guys? So what is the value of character value, ma? Variable, character value variable. What is the value? So what is the value of character value variable? It's p, right? And so here in the method one, so it is printing I am in method one. And later on, so what is the value of boolean value, ma? So what is the value of boolean value variable, ma? It is false, right?
False.
See here. So here it is displaying of false. So and remember two things more. Object is used to call methods and variables in a class, and the class is a container which is used to create a variables, which is used to create methods, constructor methods, and everything. Methods and constructor methods, everything. So constructor methods and everything. So if you have any doubts as of now, you can ask guys. The objects and classes. No questions? Is everything clear?
ఇక్కడ ఈవో ఇస్ ద ఆబ్జెక్ట్ అని రాశారు. అలా ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఇది అని ఎలా తెలుస్తుంది మరి?
నేను రాయలేదమ్మా. ఇది ఏంటంటే నేను అలా తీసుకున్నాను ఈవో అని. ఇప్పుడు మీకు క్లాస్ నేమ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ నేమ్ ఉంది.
ఓకే.
సో ఈ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ నేమ్ మీ ఇష్టం అమ్మా. మీరు ఇక్కడ మీ నేమ్ అయినా తీసుకోవచ్చు. ఇప్పుడు ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ నేను ప్రియాంక అయినా తీసుకోవచ్చు.
ఓకే.
So here object name means you should create one name. The name should be your name, your favorite movie name, or whatever it may be. So but class name అనేది క్లియర్ గా ఉండాలి. క్లాస్ నేమ్ అనేది సేమ్ ఉండాలి. అదర్వైజ్ యూ కాంట్ క్రియేట్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్. సీ హియర్ మా నన్ను రిమూవ్ చేస్తున్నాను చూడండి. నాకు ఎర్రర్ వచ్చిందా లేదా ఇక్కడ?
yes ma'am.
So class name should be same, but object name is your wish. So you can create object as any name. So me favorite car name, favorite pet name, your name, or you can take alphabets, or otherwise you can take one as well. ఇక్కడ చూడండి, ఇప్పుడు 1A ఉంది, నేను 1A అని తీసుకున్నా చూడండి. ఇలా తీసుకున్నప్పుడు నాకు ఏమైంది? సో హియర్ నాకు ఎర్రర్ వచ్చింది. ఏం ఎర్రర్ వచ్చింది మా? ఎప్పుడైనా కూడా నేను ఇక్కడ ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ క్రియేట్ చేసేటప్పుడు ఇక్కడ నేను A1 అని క్రియేట్ చేయొచ్చు, కానీ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ షుడ్ నాట్ క్రియేట్ విత్ digit. The starting character should be character only. It should not be number. It should not be digit. Understand?
Okay.
ఇప్పుడు మనం మెథడ్ నేమ్స్ ఎలా క్రియేట్ చేసామో అలానే వేరియబుల్స్ చూడండి, ఇది మన ఇష్టం అన్నమాట. ఇలా తీసుకోవాలని రూల్ లేదు. నేను ఇది తీసుకున్నాను. ఇప్పుడు మెథడ్ చూడండి, మెథడ్ 1 అని తీసుకున్నాను. సో ఈ నేమ్స్ అనేవి మన ఇష్టం. యూ క్యాన్ టేక్ నేమ్స్ యాజ్ యువర్ విష్. అండర్స్టాండ్? బట్ ఇవైతే ప్రాపర్ గా ఉండాలి. ఇవి ప్రాపర్ గా ఉండాలి. అండ్ ఏ డేటా టైప్ తీసుకుంటున్నారో ఆ వాల్యూ కూడా అదే డేటా టైప్ ఉండాలి. అండర్స్టాండ్? Yes, cool. And the next thing is constructors. So the next thing is constructors. So let me create one package using constructors. Constructors is very important, guys. Constructors is very important. In real time we'll use constructors, and we'll show you where to use constructors in real time. So once we started the page object model, and let me, what is this? Okay, so Now constructor. So very important thing. Constructor. So what is a constructor? So constructor is a method which is having the same class name, which is having the same class name. Like a constructor is a method, and the method name should be same as class name. So you can write like that as well. So and the method name should be same as the class name. Should be same as the class name. So constructor is a method and the method name should be same as the class name. Guys. Method name should be same as the class name. So here what is our class name? Class name is example of object, right? So here you can create. So let me copy the same and let me paste it. Copy and paste here. Let me rename it. Refactor and rename. Example of constructor. So what is the class name here, guys? Example of constructors, right? So you can if you create a method with a class name like this, a method with a class name like this, it is nothing but a constructor method. So here Seema, so the method name should be same as the class name. So this is nothing but a constructor method, guys. So this is nothing but a constructor method. So here, without using any access modifier, without using any void, we can create constructor methods, guys. We can create a constructor methods. What is a constructor? It is a method, and the method name should be same as the class name, and the method name should be same as the class name. And the next thing is, so here constructor belongs to object. Constructor belongs to object. Yes, constructor belongs to object, and so if you create object, it will automatically call the constructor. So constructor belongs to object, and so once we create the object, it can call the constructor method automatically, guys. It can call the constructor method automatically. It will call, not it can, it will call the, so it will call the constructor methods automatically, guys. Constructor methods automatically. So because constructor method belongs to object, guys. Constructor method belongs to object. So constructor is a method and the method name should be same as the method name. So here constructor is a method and the method name should be same as the class name, and the constructor belongs to object, guys. Constructor belongs to the object, and once we create the object, it will call the constructor method automatically. What ma? Once we create the object will call the, once we create the object will call the constructor method automatically. No need to call the constructor method with the object name. I don't need to call the constructor method with the object name. So let me show you guys. So I am in constructor method. Are you able to see, guys? So here I haven't called the constructor method using AL. Are you able to see, guys? So here I've called using variable and this method, and this is the another variable. So here, so did I call the constructor methods using AL? No, right? I haven't called, right? But if I click on, see here, if I click on this particular example of constructors, it will automatically call the constructor methods. So it will automatically call the constructor methods. Let me debug and let me show you, guys. Let me add debugger pointer here. Debug and let me show you. So here, so once we create the object, so while creating the object only, it will call the constructor. Are you able to see, guys? It will call the constructor automatically. So it will call the constructor automatically once we create the object, guys. Once we create the object, it will call the constructor method automatically, because constructor belongs to object. no need to call the constructor methods using object. So once you create the object, it will automatically call, guys. It will automatically call. And the next point is, so we can overload constructors. We can overload constructor methods. So constructor a method. So what is overload? What is overloading? Overloading means a class contains more than one method, with the same method name, but with different parameters. So, but with different parameters is nothing but overloading. Is nothing but overloading. A class contains more than one method with the same method name and with different parameters. See here, ma. Here, do we have int age here? No. But here we have int age. So this is nothing but overloading, ma. So this is nothing but overloading, and this is nothing but constructor overloading, because here we have overloaded the constructor methods, right? So here we have overloaded the constructor method. So here, see, ma, if I call this one, so is it calling the example of constructors method or example of constructors method with the parameter? Are you able to see, guys? Is it calling the default constructor method or parameterized constructor method? Which method it is calling by default? Which method it is calling by default, guys? Class 9. Sorry, which method it is calling? Is it default method? Is it default constructor method, this one or this one? See here, which method it is calling? It is calling default constructor method only. Why? Because so here we haven't added any parameters, right? We haven't called any parameters. So let me show you clearly. Must see here, guys. Observe carefully. So here, so this is EO. So here this is EO, example of constructors. So here new example of constructors. Are you able to see, guys? So it is calling the default constructor. But here, observe here. So here I'm providing the parameters. Observe, guys, I'm providing the parameters. And see here, I'm calling the, see here, observe carefully, guys. Here I haven't provided any values, but here I have provided the parameters. See, if I click on example constructors, which method it is calling, which method it called, is it parameterized or is it default method? Which method it called, guys? It is calling the parameters because we have entered the parameters here. So it is the int age type, right? So here I have passed the age. So in the form of integers. So it is calling the parameterized constructors automatically, because once you create the object and it will call the parameters automatically. It will call the constructors automatically. In your class, you have two constructor methods. One is default and one is parameterized. So if you want to call the parameterized constructor method, you should pass the parameters in the object level. You should pass the parameters in the object level. Let me execute more. As Java application. See here, guys. I'm in constructor method. 1, 2, 3. Because here we haven't passed any parameters, so it called the respective default method. See, if I call, it will call the default constructor method, and if I call example of constructors, so it is calling the parameterized constructor method automatically. Parameterized constructor method automatically. So once you create the class, it will call the object. And the next point is, so how many times you have created the object, that many times it will call the constructor. So here I have created more than one time. Let's see here, I have created object first time. This is the second time. So here 2 times it is calling the default constructor, right? And the third time I have created the constructor with the parameters, and see here, it is calling this particular constructor only one time, right, guys? Are you able to see? Are you able to see, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
So how many times you have created the object, that many times it will call the constructor method. So that many times it will call the constructor method. And remember these points, guys. And so in constructor is an interview question for 1 to 4 years people. 1 to 4 years people. What is a constructor? And how to call the constructor, and can we overload constructor methods? So constructor is a method and the method name should be same as the class name. Constructor belongs to object. Once we create the object, and the object will call the constructor methods automatically, and we can overload constructor methods and we can call the overload methods using object. So using object, constructor belongs to object only. So if you have any questions as of now, you can ask on the constructors, guys. No questions? Niharika, Priyanka, Vijayalakshmi, Janardhan.
Yes, no, ma'am.
Here I am going to cover one more important point on constructors, guys. Here observe carefully. See, once we execute the respective .java class schema, once we execute the respective .java class, the compiler verify the class verify the class whether the class contains constructor methods or not. Constructor methods or not. Constructor method means default method. Constructor method means default constructor method or not. If the default constructor method, if the default constructor method will available in the .java class, will available the .java class, it will use it will use that constructor method, it will use that default constructor method. Otherwise, very important point, ma, otherwise it will create one default constructor method in the execution time, and it will verify our class. It will verify our .java class, our .java class. So see here, guys. So are you able to understand this particular point, this particular fourth point? Are you able to understand anything? Niharika, are you able to understand what exactly the point means? See here, ma. See, previously in our previous classes, have we created any object? I mean, have we created any constructor methods, ma, in our previous classes? Do we have any constructor methods in our previous classes? No, right? We haven't created any constructor methods, right, ma? Right.
Yes.
So here, once we execute the respective .java class, see here, I don't have any constructor methods, but if we execute the particular this class, the compiler means in the JRE, Java runtime environment, the compiler verifies the class whether the class contains a constructor method. Constructor means default method. Constructor method means this default method. So this one, it will verify this one. This one means, so here in this class example of constructors, right? But in this class example of objects and the class, right? So in this class, see here, ma, in for this particular class, it is a constructor, right? Example of objects and the class. See, ma, once we execute the respective .java class, the compiler verifies the particular class contains a constructor method or not. If the default constructor method will available in the .java. See, once the default constructor method will available in the .java class, so it will use the default constructor method. See, it will use this default constructor method. And if no constructor method is available in the class, at that time the compiler will create one default constructor method in the execution time, and it will execute, guys. In the backend it will execute like that. It is an important point. So once you execute the class, the compiler will verify the default constructor method in our class. If it is available, it will use that one. Otherwise, it will create one default constructor method in the backend, and it will execute that one. It is very important part. So this is very important point. So this point is very important, guys. So that is the reason I have explained this point at the last. So constructor is a method, and the method name should be same as class name. Constructor belongs to object, and once you create the object, it will call the default constructor method automatically. And you can overload the constructor method with the parameters, and if you want to call the parameters constructor methods, you should call the parameters while object creation only. So in the object creation only, and once we execute the respective .java class, the compiler will verify whether our class contains default constructor method or not. If our class contains default constructor method, it will use that one, or otherwise it will create one default constructor method in the backend, and it will execute the script, and it will display the output to the user. So these are nothing but a constructor. So this is nothing but our today's class, because so here these topics are huge. So inheritance will take one class, polymorphism will take one class, encapsulation will take one class, abstraction will take another class. So these are the huge topics. So today I have covered a class and object along with the constructors. In our tomorrow's class, so we'll discuss about inheritance. So in our tomorrow's class, so we'll start inheritance. So if you have any questions as of now, you can ask it in the class, object and constructors. Oops concept will take one week of time. So it is a huge, concepts are huge, and it is important, guys. Understand?
మ్యామ్ వర్డ్ డాక్యుమెంట్ ప్రొవైడ్ చేస్తామన్నారు నోట్స్ గ్రూప్.
I don't have access yet, so I don't
Okay.
get any access yet. So I have discussed with them in Saturday as well. So I'll ask them today again. Okay.
Okay.
So if I have the access, and I will upload each and everything, and I'll let you know in the tomorrow's class. Okay. Okay, guys, is it fine?
Okay, ma'am.
Not only Word document, ma, so I'll share this one as well. So everything kuda share chestanu ivanni. Ee classes anni kuda share chestanu. It will help you.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, no issues. Yes, any questions related to today's class, ma? Niharika, Vijayalakshmi, Priyanka, Janardhan?
No, ma'am. Not myself.
Okay then. So then we'll see you tomorrow same time with the inheritance concept. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining. We'll see you tomorrow same time. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye, ma'am.